Spoiler alert, I love the WWE 2K games. They are probably my favorite games ever, and I without a doubt have put more hours into those games than any other franchise I've ever played. But let me just say there's a couple of things that I really don't like anymore. And today, the one that we're going to be talking about is MyRise. Welcome to Casual Marks Wrestling. I'm the Carolina Kid, and this is 3 alternatives to MyRise for WWE 2K27. First, I'm going to tell you why I don't like MyRise. Really, it's been a problem since 2K19 and everything with Buzz. Right now, I don't know if this is supposed to be this branching storyline RPG or a very clearly defined narrative story that I am playing with a custom character. Right now, MyRise is too strict and defined for it to really feel like a sandbox mode of living MyRise in WWE, but so much of the story is communicated to us by talking to NPCs for these random side quests that don't feel connected to the larger story they are trying to tell. Side quests can be a wonderful avenue to telling more stories and building this thriving ecosystem that we know exists in WWE, yet the side quests that they send us on feel disconnected, oftentimes thematically confusing, and when they put branches into those stories, they don't have an impact on the overall outcomes that we face. Often these side quests are so corny and disconnected that they just feel like a way to take up more time instead of actually putting in more of a story like we saw with Buzz in 2K19. And I think I know how to help. For option 1 of what to replace MyRise with, we need to look back at the road to Wrestlemania. When I was doing my research for this video, I was shocked to remember that Road to WrestleMania was only in 4 games, from SmackDown vs. Raw 2009 until WWE 12. Across those 4 games, you had 20 different unique storylines that followed either real characters from WWE or unique characters that you created in a more confined storyline. The first 3 were actually all very similar structure-wise. You would follow the story of one specified character going from about Royal Rumble time all the way till the main event of WrestleMania, which of course gives it the name. WWE 12 got a little bit weird with it and did it closer to about 1.5 years of continuous storyline that you played through, following 3 different characters, but they all went into one another. It was cool, and personally one of my favorite memories of getting back into WWE after a weird phase I didn't watch, but I think it was a little bit over-ambitious. The idea of a season mode, career mode, MyRise, whatever you want to call it, is awesome. But in a yearly release, they do not have the time to flesh out that storyline and increase the replayability, so you really only get one singular time to play through and really care, unless they're doing what they've been doing the last 2 games, where they force you to grind it over and over if you want to unlock everything. However, Road to WrestleMania, you were confined to these very short stories. They would keep them nice and structured, do very linear, basic stories, or they would do things that you have to be in a video game to explore because it couldn't happen on TV. It is awesome to feel like I am truly becoming a WWE superstar in a season mode or MyRise. But I think it's time to go back to feeling like I am those characters that I love or hate to see every week. If 2K decides to go back to Road to WrestleMania, I would recommend doing Rhea Ripley, Cody Rhodes, Gunther, Sol Ruka, Oba Femi, and one story for a custom wrestler. if Road to WrestleMania isn't exactly where you want to go with it, they've actually started doing something pretty cool in Showcase that I think could be its own game mode. That's revisiting wrestling history and exploring the what-if possibilities. If there is one thing that a WWE fan loves, it's a dream match. Think about it. This has always been a thing with WWE fans. Whether it was Hogan and Flair in the 80s or Goldberg and Austin in the 90s. Even now, you have so many things with AEW when what is considered the biggest dream match you could do from there. We will never know what a feud between AJ Styles and Shawn Michaels looks like. But we could in a video game. One of my favorite artists, Hal Haney, actually has been doing a series of old comic covers inspired by what ifs. Here's a couple on screen now. We can of course see what if Vince would have screwed Shawn, what if WCW would have invaded with everybody, what if Bruiser would have faced Hogan, and what if Warrior and Sting would have traded places. But think about everything else that you could explore with doing this as a concept. The super big one that you would want to see right away would be the invasion, but I feel like to do that, you have to have Sting and Flair, and I don't know what's going on with them and AEW and WWE. So instead, to pitch this to 2K, how about for the very first one, what if Stone Cold Steve Austin returned to WWE to defeat the Nexus under CM Punk's leadership? But I really get it. People really want some kind of career, season, MyRise, whatever you want to call it, mode. So let me pitch something a little bit different. I call it My Legacy. And if you've played MLB The Show, it's kind of like March to October. If you haven't played that, no worries. My Legacy and MLB The Show's March to October are essentially largely simulated seasons, or in this case careers, where you jump into key defining moments, games, or in this case rivalries, and you make sure that you control them so that you can keep momentum, or you can earn big opportunities like clinching a playoffs or a championship, anything like that. Before I go any further, I should say I am not in any way any kind of coder, programmer, designer. I don't know how to make this. But I do think it would be cool if there was some kind of system in place where it randomized to a degree, but also looked at momentum and how many wins and losses you've had. And you could essentially have these randomized stories against opponents that follow you, and you get to play a full career, but without having to do week by week by week and burn yourself out. Instead, it may be that you have your very first match in BCW going up against Black Hole Cole or something, and then you don't play anything else until you become a WWE ID contracted superstar and make your debut on Evolve. And then maybe you simulate another year until you win the Evolve World Championship. And then maybe you simulate another year until your debut on NXT and you get to play a 3-month storyline of you versus Ethan Page. You know, stuff like that. And then it jumps until you debut wherever else. You just get to skip around, play through some storylines where it makes sense, and make sure you get to do your big key matches. Ultimately, if none of those three work and 2K can't do it, or you listening think that that's all terrible ideas, whatever. MyRise has great potential if it was longer, more focused, and had some replayability through branching options or randomized stories. Really, that's all that we want. Just something that makes it easier to play the game longer without being bored. I know that 2K can do it. They just have to want to and have to take the time to do it. Here's hoping that they're going to be able to get it all together soon. This has been Casual Marks Wrestling. Thank you for watching, and don't work yourself into a shoot.